company where it was, I don't know, it was kind of weird. But they ignore the bad stuff. They go with the young Sting, who I remember, who was so important to me, was one of my biggest favorite wrestlers. I was a big NWA guy, mostly because of Sting. I was an enormous Sting fan. I was an enormous fan of the Horsemen and Luger and the Steiner brothers, like all those big guys. I remember being so emotionally invested in the Steiner brothers Doom feud because I had followed the whole storyline where I think her name was Robin. Robin had gotten hooked with Rick Steiner, and then Missy Hyatt had given her a makeover, and that, of course, was Nancy Benoit, and she became woman, and then she ended up turning and bringing in Doom, and that was the worst-kept secret as who these two guys were, because there were really only two black wrestlers in WCW at the time, so obviously we knew who it was. But I really was emotionally invested in that. And those Clash of the Champions during that time, you're talking about 1991. Oh, when the Horsemen turned on Sting, I was so pissed. So pissed. And then they get to the Crow, and everyone has said that was Scott Hall's idea to do the Crow Sting. He didn't talk for a year. It was, this enormous thing. And then, of course, he's disappeared for the last 14 years since WCW closed.
We haven't seen him since he beat Ric Flair on the final Nitro.
That's right. We have not seen him since. He hasn't been anywhere. He certainly hasn't been losing to Ethan Carter III. That definitely didn't happen. But I was about to say something about Sting. Oh, speaking of WCW, fucking Tony Schiavone blocked me on Twitter.
What is with you getting blocked by all these people?
What all these people? 2 people blocked me: Rebby Sky and Tony Schiavone.
That's 2 more than I got.
You don't know that. Do you know? You may not. You might be blocked by a lot of people. But
maybe we're talking about like some type of famous person now.
Well, I said almost a year ago I had words for Tony Schiavone. I don't remember what the hell I said, but I tweeted I had words for him. I found it looking down my timeline from a year ago. Apparently, he looks for himself on Twitter.
That's pathetic.
Well, there's other people that do this. So Dan Alexander, and I forgot the guy's name, but his Twitter name is Bangers FW with no E. So they started talking how they had been blocked by Tony Schiavone. And I thought, just for shits and giggles, let me look. I'm curious. And I was blocked. So that started a whole storm of, making fun of Tony Schiavone, because fuck it now.
Yeah, exactly.
At this point, fuck it, as we say. And hey, if I'm in good company, Rebby Sky, Tony Schiavone want to block me, I feel I'm okay with that. I really, truly am. I didn't say anything bad either about Tony.
Whatever.
It is what it is, right? So once again, I'm blocked by another wrestling personality. At least I'm not like Chief, who's blocked by 3/4 of the wrestling industry. Apparently, he's blocked by Solomon Crowe because Solomon Crowe's lady told her to block him and whatever. He has some legitimate beef though, so as I do. But that's another story. You're not blocked by anyone? Josh, are you blocked by anyone?
The only person I've been blocked by is this guy who did a search for Peyton Manning's name. Do you remember this?
No, but I'm gonna still laugh.
So so Peyton Manning had a quote on the Saturday Night Live anniversary show thing, talking about how.
So this is recent.
Yeah, it was real recent. Talking about how he has choked or made mistakes when he wasn't supposed to or something like that, and he's done it a lot, joking about how he always loses in the playoffs. And I did a quote about it, and I did a tweet about it, and some guy did a search for Peyton Manning's name and tweeted me a 1-word response.
Asshole?
No, it was 3 letters, and it started with the letter F.
Oh, okay. Derogatory term.
Yes. Yeah. And so, and that was it. But I somehow inadvertently followed him on accident.
Jesus Christ! Come on.
So no! I retweeted it. I retweeted that tweet. So then I went to look at his profile, and he had blocked me. So he did a search for Peyton Manning, decided he didn't like my tweet, sent out a one-word response, and then proceeded to block.
That guy's probably got a lot of people blocked because if he's searching for all these Peyton Manning tweets, he's not going to like what he finds.
Oh, and he deleted the tweet also.
Oh, see, that's such a bitch move to do. I hate that.
Well, there are some people who are notorious for doing that. Even people who we are friendly with.
Like Ryback?
No, I'm not friendly with Ryback. I'm not friendly with Ryback. So, in the interest of moving forward, Sting and Hunter, I don't know what to say. I'm too emotional about it. That brings us to the second People's Main Event, where we get the Druids, we get the music, the casket comes out, and who's in the casket but Bray Wyatt. If it wasn't obvious who Bray Wyatt was talking about for the last several weeks, this made it come very clear.
Yeah, he really fucking said it.
Yeah, he said the words out of the casket, and he cut into the promo on Raw. Now, the story today was that they are keeping Taker off of television until WrestleMania.
I like that.
To sell it, to basically say we don't know what to expect.
I like that.
I'm curious. And, of course, Michelle McCool continued to break fucking kayfabe, sending photos of Taker getting into WrestleMania.
He's getting ready. He's transforming. No more Mark Calloway. He's now the Undertaker.
Don't use those words. Don't say that. It makes me... You know how I feel about that.
Old man that we see is Mark. What we see on TV is the Undertaker. There's a difference.
You know how I feel about that.
But that's what he is.
I don't like hearing his name.
That's just,
you know how I...
So then, Corey, what was that we were looking at in the ring after that match with Brock Lesnar last year? Because that must have been somewhere in between.
Yeah, well, I mean, he came out as the Undertaker, and then it got very real when he got hurt. So, but he looked like Mark the next day. Remember him leaving the hotel? Yikes!
Yeah, that was definitely what you said. Can't say the words.
I do like that he's not going to be on TV though, because every year it's the same thing. He comes in, he'll be there like what three times total, and it's kind of the same thing. So now this time it's just going to be Bray Wyatt cutting promos and Taker sending in videos, and then you get to Mania and you have no idea what's going to happen, and then he comes back as the American Badass.
Oh, stop, please. Why do you have to ruin everything? Why do you have to ruin everything?
I would hate that. Oh, would I hate that?
I don't know. I would be very tempted to walk out. I really would. It would depend on if Sting had
I was going to say, what if Sting hasn't come out yet?
Well, it really depends. Are they gonna put him on WrestleMania 19-esque, like the second or third? Okay, I'll say this. I'll accept it if Nathan Jones makes an appearance.
I do like the dilemma of, how are they going to pull off these entrances?
Yeah,
two guys who come out in the dark, and it's going to be bright outside with the.
I mean, they did Taker at WrestleMania 9, and they had the Crow. Oh, the Crow with him,
right. Or
the Vulture with him, and they did fine.
Yeah, they'll find a way to make it work.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Just bite the bullet. Who cares?
Yeah, it's going to be okay. Everyone needs to just calm down. They obviously knew what they were getting into.
It's going to be a big issue as we get closer to the show. People are going to be upset that Taker's going to come out and it's not going to be dark out.
It's fine, folks.
Bray Wyatt has no reason to blow out the lantern now.
No, there'll be no lantern.
He doesn't need a lantern this time.
At WrestleMania Silicon Valley.
Come on.
I'm not using... Vince said no numbers. I'm respecting Vince's...
Don't care what Vince says.
I care what
at this point. Especially at this point in his life.
I care what Vince says. WrestleMania Silicon Valley. And then WrestleMania Star. By the way, speaking of the American Badass and Nathan Jones and everything, we had Reanimator on last week, and I recommended WrestleMania 19 to her. I don't remember. Oh, I was talking about Brock in his first run, and I said, him and Kurt had pretty good stuff, and that you can see him break his own neck. And that's pretty widely considered a decent WrestleMania, right?
Oh, it's more than decent.
I would say it's decent. I mean, you had
the top WrestleManias.
You had a racist Hunter in there. And
you had Rock and Austin.
I see, and that was maybe my favorite Rock and Austin.
Hogan and McMahon.
Oh,
Shawn and Jericho.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, it was fine.
They had a what was it? One of those triple threat tag title matches that was pretty good. Now I gotta check the card.
And of course, we had Undertaker versus A-Train and
that great fucking match.
And Big Show.
WrestleMania 19. We got Matt Hardy versus Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight title. Taker against Big Show and A-Train. Trish versus Victoria and versus Jazz. Triple threat for the tag titles. Team Angle versus Los Guerreros versus Chris Benoit and Rhino. Well, that match was just Team Angle versus Los Guerreros.
Yeah. Well, I guess Rhino exists. Rhino was his own tag team.
But then look at the end part of the show, though. You had Michaels versus Jericho, Triple H versus Booker T, Hogan versus McMahon, The Rock versus Stone Cold, Lesnar versus Angle. So,
a lot of big names in there.
A lot of people put that WrestleMania up there.
A lot of big names there.
Yeah, a lot of big names.
Anyway, we have a WrestleMania card that's filling up here, and we still don't know where Cena or Bryan's going to end up. We can assume no Sheamus yet. We're still waiting on Sheamus.
Bracing for that.
I mean, I did give you some alternative proposals today. You didn't seem very interested in, but
thankfully I'm very busy during working hours, so I don't always have time to respond now. But I saw them.
Okay, so something I proposed was Bryan and Zack Ryder versus Adam Rose and the Bunny. No?
No.
I proposed an 8-man of Bryan, Ryder, and the Primetime Players versus Luke Harper, Bo Dallas, and the Ascension.
You have the Ascension at WrestleMania. Why would I want to watch that?
I mean, they are a fine tag team. Speaking of fine tag teams, the Bushwhackers going into the Hall of Fame before Demolition. That's good.
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with them going in. It's just
no, nor me, but
yeah, we're just waiting. We just want Demolition so bad.
Yeah, and now, according to our good friend Billy, there's possibly some kind of dispute about using the Demolition thing on the Indies. And,
see, I've never heard that though.
I mean, it would make sense as to why they haven't gone in yet. They definitely deserve to go in.
But I feel like a lot of guys use their old gimmicks on the Indies.
Well, I mean, the Honky Tonk Man, and forget about it.
It's just the case of their name just hasn't come up.
Well, someone needs to be advocating for them.
I think that's what it is. I just don't think anybody has really pushed for them to go in, and they just kind of get glossed over.
See, that's the thing sometimes, and it's not only the WWE Hall of Fame, but certain halls of fame. If you're not if you're not a Hogan or
we
someone
talked about
like
it
that
before baseball, like here in Boston, Jim Rice. They took him his 15th try to get in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, are you a Hall of Famer or are you not a Hall of Famer? You're not a Hall of Famer the first 14 times, and the 15th time you are. It's just one of these dumb things. They need a committee. I volunteer to head up the Hall of Fame committee.
I just don't want, something that, where they can't go in together. Something happens to one of them and they can't, both be there to do their speech, because we're not going to have Macho Man, unfortunately, there for this one. So the longer you wait, Rick Rude, the longer you wait, then that's what ends up happening. So I don't want too much time to pass to the point where we can't see them.
Well, Axe, Bill Eadie is 67.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're getting old.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've talked about it before.
Shape.
Bill Eadie had a whole very successful wrestling career before Demolition as the masked superstar in Georgia and other territories. And, of course, Barry Darsow was Crusher Khrushchev, and he had a big falling out with Crockett and left the Carolinas because he was in a big angle. He was with the Kolovs. He was the Minnesota communist or whatever the fuck. And he ended up leaving, and I forget who they gave the Smash gimmick to originally. I think it was one of the Moondogs, and it didn't work, and everyone recognized him, and so they brought in Barry Darsow and gave him the Smash gimmick. And if you go back and see those very first Demolition matches, the makeup is different. Everything is different. they hadn't found their stride yet, but then 88, 89, 90, and then sort of later into